to C-Fan Sports, a sports show that is dedicated to the Seattle sports fans. My name is Dave. This is Kevin, and we are filming from the frozen tundra of the Pacific Northwest, trying to bring you guys all the content we can. And while we do that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bells, give a thumbs up. If you gotta give a thumbs down, you do that as well.
Ooh.
And also make sure that you leave comments down below. This week's comment is, or this week's topic that I want you guys to comment on, is this the last home game that Russell Wilson plays in Seattle? That is a huge question that is looming over the last couple games of this season. We're going to ask another question next week. And, I just want your guys' input, whether you think Russell Wilson is in Seattle next season starting for 2022. All right, Kev, let's jump into last week's game. Man, I tell you, you, sir, as I bow to you, told me that I should be wary of one Nick Foles, and by God, sir, you were correct.
Well, I didn't want to be correct. That's for sure.
Yeah, but you prophesized it, and it is exactly what happened.
And maybe I just need to keep my mouth shut so that we wouldn't have a problem. But before we start the show, I just really want to say, hey, we tried to do this podcast 3 times this week or a couple times this week. And being where I'm at temporarily on the lake for 7 months in the frozen tundra, I just have the absolute worst service. Everything's freezing up. I can't get anything done. I can't even comment half the time because I can't get my computer to go. So I apologize. I've kind of worked out a deal that I got a place to do it, that I'm going to be able to make it work from here on out. So,
all right, Kevin. Well, just like your internet in the frozen lake, Seattle Seahawks offense not working.
No. Russell last week was 16 for 27, 181 yards. He did have 2 TDs, but he had 2 sacks. And one of those sacks was absolutely critical. I mean, we were on the 3rd and 5 at the Bears' 8-yard line. And you just can't take a 12-yard sack. You just can't. And I, Jason Myers should have made that field goal. He gets paid to make that field goal. But if you're Russell, you have to throw that ball away and live to kick the field goal on the 8-yard line instead of whatever. So I was just so frustrated.
You know what, Kevin? You say that Jason Meyer is paid to make the field goal, correct?
Correct.
You know what? Russell Wilson is paid $35 million a year to take a team from the 25 to a field goal position with 1 minute, 1 second, and 2 timeouts. He had everything available to him.
Yep.
We did not attack the middle of the field. It seemed like every play was to the outside. It was an errant throw. It was off target. And that's the thing, you can be all disappointed you want in Jason Myers, and absolutely, you're correct. It's what it should have happened. But on the other hand, Russell Wilson should have taken control of that offense and drove us down and put us in field goal position for us to win that game. He's done it 100 times. Here's the thing, Kevin, and I said this comment before, he is playing right now like the employee that put his 2-week notice in.
Yep, I agree with that.
And I don't see anything special out of him. And to be honest with you, Kevin, I do not. My comment, I'm leaving down below. I'm putting it right here. I do not see him playing in Seattle next year. Period. The end.
Well, and I'm kind of agreeing with you finally, even though it's going to be hard to see him go. I just think that his escapability, his able to run is not there anymore. And he's so in his mind, he still thinks he can do it. But, we've talked about it before. He is not even 6 feet tall. He can't see over those offensive linemen. So he can't hit the middle of the field. He has to throw everything to the outside. And so if you're not
to the outside only, and that's
if you're not able to run, then it really puts a hinder on what you can and can't do. So you have to throw the ball away. And I never thought that his height, and I know we've talked about it and you never thought either, would ever come into play in this situation, because he always was able to escape, get out of the pocket, but he can't do it anymore because he's getting old.
Older.
Yeah. Well, I'm a grandpa compared to him, so
we don't want to put too many blemishes on him. In fact, we want to tell the rest of the league, Russell's A-okay. Give us all you want to give to get that quality quarterback in your system. All right, Kevin. So let's wrap that up in a bow. Anything else you got to say on that game?
Well, not only did I pick, a quarterback beating us, but I also picked one running back that he seemed to have an amazing game. 17 carries, 135 yards, 7.9 yards per carry. Man, that's twice in 3 weeks. Rashad Penny is absolutely tearing it up. And I want you guys to remember that that's the second time I picked Rashad and the second time he's had over 100 yards. So, there might be something there might be something against the Lions coming up. So I don't know. But hey, I do want to also talk about our defensive players last week. Both of our well, in fact, your offensive player, I thought did okay, but not near as enough as he should have. But your defensive player, both of our defensive player, Big Al Woods and Jordan Brooks, I thought played very well. It wasn't like game-changing performances, but they played well. So that's what I have to say for last week's game.
All right, Kevin, we've wrapped up we've wrapped up the Chicago Bear game with a bow, and now we're going to move forward to Detroit Lions.
The 2-12 Lions.
The 2-12 Lions. There's really not much to say about the Detroit Lions right now. This team is a two-win team, and we should be able to take them at home and beat them soundly. And not really have to worry too much about that. In fact, this is the week that hopefully the tape says to all the rest of the NFL teams out there that Russell is good to go. So that's what I'm hoping for this week. Kevin, who's your X factor this week on offense?
Well, I'm not going to go there yet. I just want to say my only concern this week, again, we got a backup quarterback. So they're a 2-12 team with Goff. So, anything can happen in Seattle land. So that's what I'm going to say. All right. My X factor of the week is none other than one Rashad Penny. I'm hoping he has to, because we need another 100-yard game out of him. So I have to take
on his back and riding him.
I am, because the Lions are giving up 127 yards a game. And, they're giving up way more rushing yards than they are. Their passing defense is better than their rushing defense. So I'm sticking with one Rashad Penny. So,
well, Kevin, you stick with Rashad. I'm sticking with Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett, I've called his name a few times this season. Man, I just love the way this dude plays.
Yep.
I have never been more enamored with a tight end that's been in a Seattle uniform, because he just plays so hard, and when he catches that ball, he's looking for somebody to punish, and I just love that about Gerald Everett. So I take Gerald Everett coming out of that tight end position and possibly having a huge day on Sunday. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Happy New Year's, everybody.
That's right. Ting-a-ling-ling, ringing the new year.
Yep.
Hey, before we go any further, you know what, dude? While that's 2021's in a rearview mirror, rest in peace, John Madden. Rest in peace, White. You will be sorely missed. All right, Kevin, let's flip to that defensive side of the ball. Who's your X factor over there?
Well, I'm going to take one Darrell Taylor. I think he's going to go off this game, and he's going to get at least 2 sacks, possibly, a few knockdowns. Oh yeah, it's eating time. So I just see him coming off the side. I think he's going to have absolutely just a great game. So
Well, you know what, Kevin? Well, he's pressuring that quarterback and he's throwing errant throws. My defensive player is going to be catching those errant throws. That's one Sidney Jones out of the University of Washington. I tell you, Kevin, I've been impressed with this kid week after week. Not the Legion of Boom. We'll never go back there, but this kid has been playing solid ball. I look forward to him having maybe possibly an interception tomorrow. Really wanting to see great things out of one Sidney Jones. He's filled in admirably on that side of the ball when I didn't think when we traded for him, we would get much out of him, to be honest with you.
I remember having that argument, and I kept telling you, Sidney Jones is the man. I love that kid, man.
All right, well, he's the man. And so, Kevin, you got any other thoughts before we get to the final scores that we think that we're going to see on Sunday?
I really hope that the Seahawks tear it up because, like you said, I mean, I want to see if Russell's last home game is tomorrow. I want to see him go out in style.
Yeah.
And he's just been a rock solid for all those years that he's been here. I mean, I don't want to see the team, everything get blown up, but the more after the Bears game, it's hard to say that they're not going to. There are some quality guys on defense that we kind of need to re-sign. We need to get Quandre Diggs back. We need to get DJ Reed back. I'd like to re-sign Sidney Jones. We need to do some changes because we just don't have the ability to get to the quarterback as much as we need to. And we got to change things up. I hope that Russell has an absolutely amazing game.
Again, please don't think that we are Russell Wilson haters.
No.
Russell has done more for this city as far as football wise than we can ever begin to start to thank him and repay him for. However, there's a change for every season. And right now, unfortunately, $35 million and your athleticism eroding makes you the type of target that needs to move on to a different setting. And we as Seahawks need to bring something in that will be able to play that kind of game that Pete likes to play, because I honestly don't think Pete's going anywhere, to be honest with you.
No.
So, we can hate on Pete all we want, but there was no championships before we brought Pete in. So, anyway.
I agree with that statement 100%. And we definitely are not Russell haters. I know I've been hard on him all year, but when you're paid $35 million a year, you need to perform like a $35 million quarterback. And he just hasn't done it this year. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's his last year in Green Bay probably, and he's performed like an unbelievable quarterback. So I think if we do a trade this year, I think we're going to get a lot of draft capital. And so I think this is, even though that the quarterback situation in this year's draft is not great, I think there's some young guys out there. And I know you mentioned a guy's name several times to us.
I'm
not the big
wait on that. We're not throwing that out now, but I have a scenario that's perfect for the Seahawks.
I'm not mentioning names. I'm just not the biggest fan. So, but anyway, I think there's some good guys out there. And, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Jacob Eason. I mean, the guy can throw the ball, but can he get his head straight? I don't know.
Well, lots of questions going into these last two games. The last question we're going to ask, Kevin, what's the score going to be on Sunday?
Well, I think it's going to be a blowout because I think Russell needs to have a great game. I think it's going to be 33-14 Seahawks.
Well, I also agree with you. I'm going to go 27-10.
Wow.
That's how I feel this game is going to roll out on Sunday, 27-10. To be honest with you, Kevin, I would not be a bit surprised that we pitch a shutout on Sunday, but I'm not going to promise that because I've seen some. I thought we were going to lambaste the Chicago Bears, but that did not happen. All right, Kevin, I think we pretty much only got two words for them.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, man.